comes the awkward intro.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to a live stream again Monday. I'm Heidi.
And I'm Toby.
And welcome to Crypto Tips. Josh Atkinson is not asking anymore, Toby. He's demanding for
So
doom
all
and
you
gloom.
need to know today is that the national debt in the U.S. is $27 trillion. That's $81,813 per man, woman, and child. So.
Oh wow, everyone, not just like the head of the household.
Yeah. So if you have your financial assets in a country like that, you might want to get it out because that's fiscal suicide, in my opinion. And it's not going to get any better. What I see right now with the crypto markets is, yeah, sure, it could stay flat or go up a little bit or down a little bit, but I mean, I don't see it crashing anytime soon, just because they are going to be printing so much currency. So everybody's worried about a stock market crash. Everybody's worried about the dollar getting stronger, guys. Not going to happen. So it might, correct a little bit, the stock market, but as far as like the long term, like for the next year or so, I see like a lot of money printing or currency printing, and the cryptos are going to skyrocket at least next year for sure. So.
Yeah, and in other news, crypto news, we're going to talk about the BitMex thing because come on, you got to address that. Additionally, because of all of the FUD that's been kind of accommodating or accompanying that FUD. So BitMex was charged by the CFTC for pretty much not being compliant with the regulations, not having a strict enough KYC AML practice, in addition to maybe I don't know if they got into like what they're actually doing on the exchange, it being a derivatives exchange, and maybe some shady trading happening on that exchange. I think they're really focusing on the KYC AML thing. But so I have a lot of mixed opinions on this. But anyway, one thing I want to focus on is the FUD that is coming from this and kind of being put onto the rest of the crypto space, saying it can happen to BitMex, it can happen to anyone. That's definitely not true, and I hope that you don't believe that when you read it. If you guys haven't signed up to my free weekly newsletter, I highly recommend that you do. You can find a link to that down below in the video description, as well as links to all of the articles that we're covering today, as always. But I spoke about that. I spoke about how there is a vast difference between a centralized exchange and many of these platforms that are being built, especially decentralized exchanges. But anyway, first off, it's BitMex. It is the largest kind of derivatives and margin trading exchange for Bitcoin. So, we're always talking about these stupid whales suppressing the price of Bitcoin and, making it go whichever way they want. I think with the derivatives and the leverage trading that platforms like BitMex enable, they're really the ones helping that happen. And it's definitely not necessarily organic growth or real people trading with their legitimate money. It's just, if you have $1, you can 10x it and make a trade as if you had $100, pretty much is what, in a nutshell, what derivatives or what margin trading is.
Yeah. Bring it. Yeah, who cares? Just bring it down.
Yeah.
Like, go for it. I don't care. I mean, if regulators want to shut it down and they can do that, then go for it. Whatever. I mean, we're going to work around that, obviously, with DeFi.
Yeah.
And, there's no need for these guys. There really isn't. So,
yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, part of me feels like, oh, no, like the bad guys are attacking the crypto crew. But really, it's not the best representation of what the cryptocurrency space has to offer or can be represented as. So.
But with that said, I mean, you have, JP Morgan.
I'll get into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is come on, why are you picking
There's
on
a lot of hypocrisy here.
BitMex.
Yeah.
They're so small compared to bigger characters that the CFTC and the SEC are owned by.
Tracy says, stupid whales, don't talk about Toby like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of these quotes that I want to address that I'm kind of talking about, this unnecessary and really unfounded FUD for specifically DeFi, just because, it has decentralized finance, decentralized right in the title, although many of those fail that.
Take my money. Take my money.
Yeah, we're going to get into that too. But so here's a quote from, this quote is, I believe, from, anyway, a quote: "While many DeFi protocols appear to believe that they can evade regulators simply by becoming fully decentralized," yeah, that's pretty much how you evade regulators, by the way. You become fully decentralized. There are increasing doubts as to whether this is true. I wonder who is doubting that. And in any case, DeFi protocols have come under fire recently for operating with a high degree of centralization. Now, this part is true, and it's something, it says, with 12 out of 15 top projects maintaining God mode admin keys. So we saw that with SushiSwap, and I'm sure, obviously, there's 12 additional projects that have this God mode admin keys. I'll be looking into that and doing a video on that for sure. But so what the SEC does, and what the IRS does often is they do this kind of scare tactic mode to kind of flush people out, to probably remind them that they are vulnerable to regulations if they are centralized. And if it's something like vaporware, if it's something like it's just a get rich quick scheme, they haven't really put in the effort to have plans or to at the foundational level have any kind of decentralization, yeah, they're going to be subjected to regulators. So on one hand, it's good that they're doing this because it's pushing the crypto space into a more robust and decentralized state of mind, maybe on the defensive, but still it's for the better for you and me as well as end users of these platforms. Centralization is bad because it makes them subjected to regulators, but it also makes us have to trust that those who are centrally controlling that centralized aspect of that platform or cryptocurrency, they're not going to be overcome by greed or really enjoy the kind of power that they have. So let me know your thoughts about this whole thing in the comments. It's definitely something to talk about for sure. Let's see, get in the comments. Hey, Ultra, good morning. Hey, Gail.
What's up, Dave D? Sergio, what's up? John, thank you. Yeah. This is going to be fun.
Dave D, send me more of that printed money so I can buy up crypto. Exactly. That's what I think a lot of people are going to do.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you can't have that news day after day of printing more and more money and not have that sink in at some kind of level of your consciousness and think that currency is still valuable.
And not only that, I mean, did you see how much bad news was out last week?
Oh, yeah.
Bad news or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, they couldn't get the price down for a couple $100. This is where we're getting to right now. Why is that? It's because not only are whales accumulating, they're buying up crap tons, but they know, they understand
anymore.
Huh?
Not on BitMex anymore.
Yeah, but I mean OTC for sure. And with all the currency printing, I think it's just inevitable that it's going to rise. It has to rise. This is you're not in banks' hands anymore. This is your own Swiss bank account in your pocket. So I see this just skyrocketing in the future. Maybe it'll stay flat till the end of the year. I don't care. Just, accumulate. That's how we do it. And, we've been doing really well accumulating, using those staking profits and going ahead and buying Bitcoin, whatever we want to.
Yeah.
So it's great.
So getting back to this just a little bit, I want to point out, again, the hypocrisy between the CFTC and BitMex versus how they deal with the big banks like JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon, the CEO of that bank.
Yeah, they've never done anything bad.
The CFTC is trying to say that for the past 2 years, BitMex has known that they have been not really following the regulations as they should be. They're definitely not enforcing heavy KYC as they should be, or anti-money laundering protocols as they should be. But here's BitMex's response to that. They said, where do they say it? We strongly disagree with the U.S. government's heavy-handed decision to bring these charges and intend to defend allegations vigorously. From our early days as a startup, we've always sought to comply with applicable U.S. laws as those laws were understood at the time based on available guidance. Basically, they're calling out the CFTC and the government and the regulators in general saying, yeah, you guys want us to be compliant. You haven't been clear at all how that needs to be done. You guys haven't... What was that? The big meeting or the in the with the Facebook and Libra, and you heard like all the U.S. senators trying to figure out what a cryptocurrency is.
They have no idea,
and they're the ones that they're blaming.
Well, I mean that has to do with taxes as well. So like the early days of taxes, like when Heidi's.
Oh my gosh, what a nightmare!
Gosh,
can you imagine? Because you know that the repercussions are hard, but like you don't know what the heck is actually happening.
No, and they could do anything they want to. So I'm like, skip that.
Yeah. Anyway, so in addition to, the lack of regulation and clarity afforded to BitMex or any cryptocurrency platform exchange, also there's just a blatant hypocrisy between, like, they're definitely just trying to make an example out of BitMex, and again using those scare tactics to flush out, because they don't have the means to address all of the different crypto platforms, and not to mention just how fast this cryptocurrency space evolves. Oh my gosh, they're suppressed by their own bureaucracy, and then they're trying to pass that on to the crypto space.
Like I said to people, like a couple months ago, these guys are 10 years at least behind. They are so far away from being caught up. It's just ridiculous. They'll never be caught up. So yeah, keep building and keep keeping ahead of, like, keep building at this speed. They'll never catch up. They have so much bureaucracy that, it's like David and Goliath. They're Goliath is toast.
Yeah. Like,
no competition.
And by the way, this is how the crypto space is kind of clapping back, by the way. Actually, no, here's one quote I wanted to bring up. This article is actually like a plug piece for this Vega decentralized exchange, I think it is. Anyway, I just wanted to read this quote from this guy. He said, the BitMex saga highlights the mismatch between open source, decentralized, community-led projects and the rent-seeking businesses that exemplify the dangers of pure unchecked capitalism, which have grown up around the periphery of the ecosystem and suck value out of it while doing nothing for the reputation of the space. That's true. And it is affecting, kind of, again, the organic price movements that we should be seeing with Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto space. But it's clear to me that centralized exchanges are a stepping stone that have been necessary, but something that the industry needs to move away from as quickly as possible. And I believe actions like this from the CFTC, these heavy-handed regulations, these barriers that they're forcing these entry points, and just how people are interacting with cryptocurrency, they're going to force a really high barrier of entry that will affect how you and I and everyone have the ability to freely or maybe not so freely interact with cryptocurrencies. And here's another like, this Bitcoin whale issues big warning to traders. Here's why he believes group of crypto assets are at risk from regulators. Number one, he's a Bitcoin whale.
Bitcoin Maximus.
He's probably just a guy who does a lot of leverage trading, and he's probably busy trading all day. He's probably not busy building the things that are actually going to be a solution for things like centralization and regulators and whatever. So good for him. He's a rich Bitcoiner, but not so good of a reference point for a warning for like the health of the crypto space.
Well, I've noticed a lot of toxicity in this space where it comes to like Bitcoin's and that's it.
But it's with a lot of different projects. So that's why I did those videos.
That's probably
of
where
coins.
He's coming from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely motivated to want people to be interested in Bitcoin. But he's pretty much saying, like, all these scam projects are going to be flushed out and the whole DeFi space is going to be popped and it's just going to be a whole landslide.
So what this guy's advocating for is really, you know what? The old financial system is great. Let's kick out this DeFi thing because it's irrelevant. Like, come on, man. Where's your head in this space? Like, these people are complete idiots.
But so he actually called out the Uni token specifically, and Phil Liu, who's a chief legal officer at the digital asset management firm Arca, says he doesn't think Uni will be subjected to the SEC because it won't meet the standards of the test for securities, so it won't qualify as a security according to the SEC because the network is no longer controlled by the Uniswap team. He also notes that the Uniswap team never raised money to through a token offering to create the network, and that only users, team members, investors, and advisors were entitled to receive Uni initially. So that is kind of like the clap back of the crypto space. Again, how nimble it is to just pivot so fast to prevent it from being really snuffed out from regulators.
It's great.
We've seen, Lend is now migrating to its Aave token, which you can also stake, but it's also, their form of establishing governance to the community. Again, Uni token was created to be a governance token for the community. And what else? Oh, Safe. That was a mess. But Safe was one that actually migrated to a new coin because just to avoid one whale that had a huge portion of the supply.
And they migrated to Safe too.
Yeah. So, but that's like, can you imagine it? I think it took the CFTC like 2 years to bring this case to BitMex.
But that's great.
And you know how fast it took the crypto community when the news broke just to pivot?
It's great.
Like, come on. There's no hope for them.
They're finished.
Yeah.
So imagine what the future is going to look like if we can actually do that. It takes them 2 years, but we take 1 day. Like, this is amazing. Like, they have picked with the wrong people. They picked the fight with the wrong people for sure. So it's a lot of fun to watch them struggle.
That's weird.
Can't wait for another SEC meeting.
Yeah.
With crypto, see how far back they are. It's always fun to watch because they really have no idea what they're talking about. There's a couple crypto people that are cool in this space or whatever. Stay away from these people that speak in front of the CFTC and try to explain what Bitcoin is and why it's really important. Like, why are you guys teaching the crooks this stuff? Just don't even bother. Just focus on the free market. Don't worry about government. Government is a parasite. So, focus.
I was reading an article. I was considering to put in this live stream talking about Wyoming and their banking deal that they had.
Oh, who cares?
And I was reading, I got about a quarter into it. Yeah. And it was a guy who seemed nice. I'm sure he's a nice guy. But he was talking about how, he's worked with the FDIC and with the Federal Reserve. And I'm just like, I don't want to read it. Like, this is so backward. Like, why are we moving backwards? Why are we just leaving it in the dust and moving forward with new things?
Exactly.
So
leave it behind. It's garbage. Yeah.
So for those of you who are freaking out about BitMex and thinking it's going to crash the price of Bitcoin because this is bad news,
then sell it to us.
Yeah. Not everyone thinks that way. In fact, a lot of futures traders are setting their sights on the $12,000 range. So that's good. Additionally, Willy Woo, is this article? Yeah. He says, number one, he says that every time there's been this like threat of regulations for Bitcoin or for anything, the price of Bitcoin has recovered and it's recovered well. So don't think that if history is any indication what's going to happen, which we all know isn't necessarily the case, but
it rhymes.
And it's probably going to rhyme very well. But so what he says here is, meanwhile, he says, fundamentally, the market is scared for all the wrong reasons. MEX did not get hacked. Good point. No traders will lose coins. Good point. Futures exchanges will clean up their practices. We will see less volatility, less scam wicking, more spot volumes, more organic moves, more institutional money. And he also says, meanwhile, the on-chain fundamentals are showing more new investors are coming in than the mania phase of the last cycle, December 2017. That's great. Without it reflected in the price. This is because the unfettered trading games on derivatives platforms is holding the price down.
Who said that?
Willy Woo. And Toby.
Thank you.
This guy also said it. Let me check back in with the comments here, see how you guys are doing. Sorry, I centered out the articles for you.
We need a Toby open mic night. Okay, maybe.
What, karaoke?
I think he means getting on here.
I know, you haven't done a video in a long time. It's been a week.
Yeah,
it's been like a month.
Yeah.
It's been like 2 months.
Okay.
Toby.
All right.
Okay. So talking about DeFi and, you know, the good and the bad of DeFi. Again, I broke it down pretty good, I think, in that newsletter this week. But so talking about APY Finance lacks $67 million in first hour of it launching. That's crazy. And this is like 3 days after the mess of Eminence happened. Do you remember that?
Yeah, straight to the ground.
It's like, okay, so what happened first was this Eminence debacle, mishap, if you will. The guy behind YFI Finance, that one cryptocurrency that went to like $40,000, got a lot of attention, got a lot of spin-offs, a lot of copy-paste projects coming after it.
We called it at 4.
Actually, I was... YFI FYI actually reached out to me. I was like, no, thank you. Take me off your list, please. Scam project probably. But so the guy, Andre Cronje, I'm sorry.
Maybe not.
Probably.
You don't know that.
What?
If it's a scam project, is it?
I don't know.
FYI.
YFI.
Ridiculous.
It's
yes.
FYI.finance. Anyway, sorry if I'm calling you guys out.
Yeah.
So Eminence is, I think it's like a gaming platform. It has to do with smart contracts, and Andre, the guy behind YFI, was messing around with it, and maybe people were checking out his Twitter, maybe people were checking out his GitHub to see, you know, what he's interacting with, trying to be the earliest in to see another rise of like what, from 10 cents to like $40,000 or something. So Eminence saw how many millions of dollars come into it overnight. And it really, I mean, it also speaks to, number one, the fatal flaw of relying on a name of a person and thinking whatever that person touches will be gold. What's his name from EOS? Is Dan Larimer is like a famous example of that from BitShares, Esteem It, now EOS. You know, got some cult following there, but Eminence, let's see, almost $2 million in a contract, 468 holders, $500,000 volume on Uniswap, 1,258 followers. For what? No website, no GUI, no Discord. Nobody knows what this is, but take my money.
I know that guy Crypto Bobby got destroyed on that trade.
That's crazy that people, I mean... Holy crap. If you guys are new to this crypto space, but you want to know, you know, how to do it smartly, I encourage that you check out our Patreon group, the CT Club. Link is down in the video description. I've done classes on how to do your own research on cryptocurrencies, how to interact with different decentralized exchanges, how to stake. I mean, I've done so many classes on like passive income and all these things. But the do your own research one is like, I think, a must.
But I mean, it's difficult, especially when you're trying to be the first person to invest in this.
Yeah.
And you know, like, we can do so much research, and a couple times we have failed as well. You know, like, it's really difficult in this space, especially when you're trying to find the next YFI, because that's what everybody wants. You know, they want the $40,000 rise, you know?
And there's always that complaint, you know, like, especially with proof of stake coins or, you know, where there's masternodes involved or something, there's always someone or many people saying, oh, the rich get richer, right? The rich get richer. So, like, really, the really easy, not easy way, but an effective way, not always 100%, definitely not 100% guaranteed, but one way to get ahead of that, if you're not already a whale, is to get in early on a project. That's a really easy way to, if you hit it right, and you time it right, and it's the right project, you can absolutely be very profitable. And that's what this Eminence thing and this APY thing is, and this whole DeFi space really, and it, for example, is a perfect example of people desperate to get ahead. Yeah.
But it's also a patience game, you know? Like, also, for instance, if we post something and it goes down a little bit, like we're not going to sell it right away because it's more of a long-term prospect. So whatever I buy, most of the stuff that I buy, I want to hold for, the peak of the bull.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hold for. And because I understand how these bulls work. This is my third one.
Yeah.
And so, like in 2016, 17, 2016, this is kind of it. This is the area right now. And so if you were, going ahead, I remember like trying to get into every single staking coin in 2016, like every single one.
Yeah.
Like trying my best because I actually could do that. There wasn't that many staking coins. And so I was like doing it and I'm like, yeah, sweet. I'm up to date, and it was much easier. And you just wait. You wait for a year and boom.
Yeah.
So there's more money. There's more people. There's more, billionaires and companies that are putting their money into safe havens.
Mm-hmm. And maybe not safe,
or yes, maybe not safe. Who knows what that's going to do?
Yeah,
but that's just a long-term prospect. So yeah.
So here's actually Andre
Cronier.
Thank you for the phonetic spelling, Tracy. What?
Cronier.
Have you had your ants yet?
Do you hold some waves yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have I had my ants yet? Not today.
I Got Worms says DeFi is,
I like that movie. That's one of my favorite comedies.
The next ICO crap coin boom. It will be nothing in 3 years' time. I don't know. I definitely agree that there is a crap ton of vaporware projects. There are people who are just copying and pasting and definitely taking advantage of the hype. But I think the concept of DeFi and what it's showing people, how you can really build one thing on another of how your money can work for you, I think that's here to stay. You can't unsee that kind of capabilities of your money, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, took the words right out of your mouth.
Yeah. NFTs, what are your thoughts on those? For me, I'm more focused on layer 2 solutions for Ether. So I think that those are going to do really well, especially, because in the future, Ethereum is gonna be a while for there to be 5,000 to 8,000 or 10,000 transactions a second, whereas layer 2s they can reach it 100,000 transactions per second once probably next year. So by the time ETH 2.0 comes out like legitimately, you're not going to need their solution for it because there's already going to be a solution. So those are the coins that I'm really looking forward to, and I'm accumulating a lot of right now. It's because they're cheap. They're so cheap, and nobody even cares about them. Everybody's chasing after the new farm or whatever. I'm not into that anymore. I played with a farm a little bit, and
you retired from that game.
Yeah, I'm not much of a farmer, so.
Turns out you're a surfer.
Yeah. So I'm more focused on things that are going to outlast a lot of things. So NFTs, yeah, sure. Engine, that might be a good one to get.
I think we're already holding that one.
Yeah,
it's in our portfolio.
Yeah. So, anyways,
so
check out our portfolio.
Yeah, that's also available to CT Club members of Patreon. For those of you interested. So also there's a thing, talk about FUD. I know it's almost time to wrap it up, but I want to end this on the FUD about this Mt. Gox thing. Mt. Gox was like the centralized exchange for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency trading. And it was hacked way back then. What year was that? Like 2014, I think?
No,
2013?
2012.
A long time ago. It was like ancient history in crypto space, really. 850,000 Bitcoin were stolen. At this point, I think that they have apparently the ability to pay back those who were affected, 100, not each person, but they have like a pool of 150,000 Bitcoin. I don't know if that's even really, if they have that, because the reason being, the guy, he's called the trustee, the man who's or the person who's in charge of organizing how this payback will work. He has historically delayed doing this. Either means he doesn't know how to do it or he doesn't have the funds to do it. That's not, I haven't researched that a whole lot, but anyway, that's just my take on this. So there's this thing about this date, October 15th. There's a deadline of October 15th. A lot of people are assuming that deadline is the deadline for these 150,000 Bitcoin to be paid out. In reality, this deadline is just for this trustee person to publish a plan to pay back the coins. So it's not necessarily the actual action. It's just a plan that he has to come up with. And not to mention, this is a thing that he has delayed over and over again, was not actually paying back the coins, but he has delayed coming up with a plan for it. So who knows? Maybe he'll have a plan in the next 10 days. Maybe he won't. But either way, it's not going to be those 150,000 coins hitting the market. But even if it would, I don't think that's going to be such a huge... it's probably going to make it dip a little bit if everyone dumps. But, I mean... The size of the market now compared to what it was back then can, I think, easily absorb that kind of
Well, I was just going to bring up MicroStrategy. So they spent another 7 days to gain, I think over 100,000 Bitcoin. They would be loving that if that happened. I mean, the market would just soak it right up. It's getting to the point where it doesn't matter how much a whale wants to sell. Good luck. There's other whales that are going to eat it right up. So, and there's more and more whales to play with. So, yeah, have fun selling. Be great.
Yeah. I think that's all I have for you guys today. Josh says, I say let it drop.
Yeah, let it.
That's what I mean. There's plenty of people that are willing to buy at that lower price. We've seen that. That's why I think Bitcoin's been sitting at this $10,500 level so securely, because there are people who are eager to buy it up at that $9,000 level, and like we saw, the futures traders are pushing for $12,000 as well. So we'll see. I
mean, after all that bad news last week, and they still couldn't get it under, come on, that's it. It just shows how much strength is going on. Yeah.
Anyway, for those of you who are in this live chat, thank you everyone for taking part. Also, if you were an OG member of the CT Club Patreon, I really appreciate all of your feedback from the messages. Got some great ideas for videos, for classes coming up, so there's going to be a lot in the works.
Josh, someday I'll get more out there. I mean, there's a lot to talk about in terms of doom and gloom and stuff. So people want to hear that. So there is a lot of crazy stuff. And I'll consider. Oh,
I thought you were gonna say something for example.
No. I'll consider doing something special for you guys. So.
Okay. Yeah. Seriously consider it.
Really doom and gloom.
I'll do dark lighting and spooky music and all that.
But it's not all doom and gloom because it's us. We are on the right side of the trade.
We are the silver lining. The crypto is the silver lining for all that. So anyway, thank you everyone for taking part in this live stream. We really appreciate it. And we'll be coming to you again every Monday, noon Eastern time. In the meantime, we will be peppering out some videos throughout the week as well. So until then, I hope you're staying happy and healthy. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.